They don't want you to know this. In October of the year 2024, events unfolded in the Middle East that seem copied word for word from biblical prophecy. Yet no one speaks about the real meaning of these alliances. No one shows you the ancient map that explains it all. Why? Because that map destroys every official version. It shows that what is happening right now was already written 3,000 years ago. Word for word, event after event, alliance after alliance. The book of Daniel, chapter 11. There we find the wars between the king of the north and the king of the south. The descriptions are so precise that modern skeptics claim the text must have been written later, after the events had already happened. But if that is true, how do we explain what we see today? How do we explain that the same lands, the same nations, the same conflicts return again and again, as if someone is simply turning the pages of an ancient script and acting it out in real time? Let's talk about the unholy alliance. In the Bible, there is a phrase that can be translated as a covenant with death. The book of Isaiah, chapter 28. The prophet warns about leaders who made a deal with deception, who tried to hide under lies. They thought it would save them. They thought political games would bring them safety. But God calls such covenants an abomination. He says, when the overwhelming scourge arrives, your covenant with death will be shattered. Your pact with hell will not stand. Now look at the modern Middle East. October of the year 2023 became a turning point. A war erupted that reshaped every alliance in the region. Nations that had never spoken suddenly sat at the same negotiation table. States that were enemies began to exchange intelligence. And those who seemed like allies revealed their true face. It all looks like an ancient game where everyone plays against everyone. And the rules are written in the blood of the prophets. Did you know that in ancient Israel every alliance with a foreign power was considered betrayal against God? Kings who turned to Egypt or Babylon instead of trusting the Almighty received curses. The books of Kings are filled with such stories, and they all ended the same way: defeat, exile, death. Not one political alliance ever saved them. King Asa, who at first trusted God and won, later turned to the king of Syria for help, and the prophet told him, "You have acted foolishly. From now on you will have wars." And that is exactly what happened. If you are watching this video, click like right now. Subscribe to the channel, because what I will reveal next will change the way you see modern geopolitics forever. This information is not shown on the news. Politicians do not discuss it, and yet it is there. In the ancient texts, in the prophecies, in the symbols we have forgotten how to read. Let us return to October. Why October? In the Hebrew calendar, that month is called Tishri, the month of judgment and testing. The month when God weighs the deeds of nations. In this month, according to tradition, the world was created. In this month, the great flood began. In this month, Abraham brought his son as a sacrifice on Mount Moriah, exactly where today the Temple Mount stands in Jerusalem. Coincidence? I don't think so. In this month, the ram's horn, the shofar, is blown, calling people to repentance. In this month, Yom Kippur takes place, the Day of Atonement, when the heavenly books are opened and destinies are written for the coming year. So, when the war broke out in October of the year 2023, many saw it as the beginning of apocalyptic events. Evangelicals began searching for signs. Protestants opened the book of Revelation. And what did they find? A description of the alliances of the last days, a vision of nations uniting against the holy city, a warning of wicked kings joining in covenant against the will of the Almighty. Psalm 2 describes it this way: Why do the nations rage, and the peoples plot in vain? The kings of the earth rise up, and the rulers conspire together against the Lord and against his anointed. The Revelation of John, chapter 16. It describes how 3 unclean spirits, like frogs, come out of the mouth of the dragon, the beast, and the false prophet. These spirits go to the kings of the earth to gather them for the great battle of the day of God Almighty. The place of that battle is called Armageddon. And do you know where Armageddon is? In the Middle East, in the valley of Megiddo, only a few dozen kilometers from the modern front lines. That valley has been a battlefield for millennia. Egyptians fought the Canaanites there. King Josiah fell in battle against a pharaoh there. Napoleon once said that all the armies of the world could gather there for one final, decisive battle, but there is a deeper level. There are ancient texts that never entered the official Bible, the Apocrypha. The book of Enoch describes the alliances of the fallen angels who taught mankind the arts of war and political intrigue. They showed kings how to deceive one another, how to sign treaties that seemed profitable, but always led to destruction. That knowledge was passed down through generations. It became the very foundation of modern diplomacy. Enoch writes about 200 angels who descended on Mount Hermon and took an oath together. They chose human wives and gave birth to giants. But more importantly, they taught humanity forbidden arts. Azazel taught the making of swords, knives, shields, and armor. Semyaza revealed enchantments and potions. Armaros taught how to break curses. Barachil taught astrology. Kokabel revealed the signs of the stars. Tamil explained astronomy. Azrael taught the movement of the moon. Think about it. Every great conflict in the Middle East began with an alliance. The First World War, the Ottoman Empire entered into alliance with Germany. The result? The empire collapsed and the entire region was redrawn. The Second World War, Arab leaders sought support from Hitler, hoping to escape British and French colonial rule. The result? Catastrophe and the birth of the State of Israel. The war in Iraq, a coalition of nations against one country. The result? Chaos that continues to this day, with Iran growing stronger in the region. And now another alliance. A new pact. Once again the same region. Once again the same script. Once again promises of peace that lead only to war. Who's the king of the north? The book of Daniel does not name him directly, but it gives clear coordinates. It is the power that comes from the north of the Holy Land. Historically, it was the Seleucid Empire, then Byzantium, then the Ottoman Empire. And now, look at the map. Which nations lie to the north of Israel? Syria, Turkey. Beyond them, Russia. All of them are drawn into the conflict. All of them have their own interests in the region. All of them make alliances, plotting against one another. And the king of the south? Historically, that was Egypt under the dynasty of the Ptolemies. But in prophecy, it is not only about geography, it is also about spiritual orientation. In biblical symbolism, the south often represents wealth, luxury, compromise with paganism. The north represents aggression, conquest, cold force, and between them always stands the holy city Jerusalem. The prophet Zechariah said, "Jerusalem will be a heavy stone for all nations. Whoever tries to lift it will only cut themselves upon it." Daniel foretold that between these kings there would be constant war, that they would make alliances, but those alliances would be temporary, that they would give their daughters in marriage, but such marriages would not bring peace. Is that not what we see today? Nations sign peace agreements that collapse within a year. Leaders embrace before cameras at summits, only to have their armies firing at each other a month later. Documents signed with the blood of past generations turn into scraps of paper blown away by the winds of history. Do you understand how frightening this is? In Daniel's prophecy, it is written, "The king of the north will invade the land of the king of the south. He will seize great spoils, gold, silver, precious things. Then he will return to his land with much wealth. But his heart will be against the holy covenant. He will cause destruction and then return to his own land. A few years later he will go south again, but this time things will be different. The ships of Kittim will come against him, and he will be humbled and turned back." In October of last year, one of the most powerful states of the region announced a new alliance. Officially, it was an economic agreement. In reality, it was a military pact. The details are secret, but leaked information reveals this. At the center of the alliance is the struggle for control over the holy places. Who has the right to speak in the name of religion? Who decides which faith is true and which is false? Who controls access for pilgrims to Mecca, to Medina, to Jerusalem? These are not just religious questions. These are questions of power over the minds of billions of people. The book of Ezekiel, chapters 38 and 39. There we read of a coalition called the Army of Gog from the land of Magog, a union of northern nations rising to attack Israel. The text names specific tribes: Meshech, Tubal, Persia, Cush, Put, Gomer, and Togarmah. Modern scholars identify them with today's nations: Meshech and Tubal territories of modern Turkey and Russia, Persia clearly Iran, Cush, Sudan, and Ethiopia, Put, Libya and North Africa, Gomer possibly part of Turkey or Eastern Europe, Togarmah the southern Caucasus. Exactly the same regions now active in the Middle East. But here is what is striking. The prophecy says this alliance will gather in the last days, a time when Israel lives securely. Some say, Israel is not safe now, so the prophecy has not yet been fulfilled. But others point out, security can be an illusion. A nation may think itself protected through alliances with great powers, through technological superiority, through the Iron Dome missile defense, through a nuclear arsenal that is never admitted but always suspected. Yet such security is false, and it is exactly at the moment of greatest confidence that the attack comes. The modern parallel is obvious. In recent years, Israel signed several peace accords with Arab nations. The Abraham Accords, normalization with the United Arab Emirates, Bahrain, Morocco, Sudan. Embassies opened. Economic cooperation began. Joint military exercises followed. It looked like a breakthrough, like the beginning of a new era. Politicians spoke of a new Middle East, of shared prosperity, of peace between the sons of Abraham. But what happened last October? Everything changed overnight. The peace proved shallow. Beneath it burned ancient hatreds. The alliances were made not from the heart, but from political calculation. Now consider, which state gained the most from these accords? Which nation strengthened its hand? Which power gained new allies? And now consider who lost. Which groups were excluded from the negotiations? Whose interests were ignored? And are they not the very ones now trying to tear these agreements apart by force? Daniel wrote, "Treaties will be made, but they will not endure, because the time is not yet, because the end will come at the appointed time." King Solomon was considered the wisest ruler in history. Yet even he made a fatal mistake. He forged an alliance with the Pharaoh of Egypt by marrying his daughter. At first it seemed like a brilliant move. Peace on the southern border, economic benefits, access to Egyptian chariots and horses. But what followed? That wife brought her gods with her. Solomon began building shrines for foreign deities, Astarte, Milcom, Chemosh, Molech, the holy city filled with idols. And God said, "Because of this the kingdom will be torn apart. For the sake of David, your father, I will not take it all from your son, but I will leave him only one tribe. The rest will be given to another dot, and so it is today." Every alliance in the Middle East has a religious component. Sunni states unite against Shiites. Shiites seek support from non-Muslim powers. Christian minorities are used as pawns in the great game. The Kurds are manipulated first by one side, then the other. And at the very center stands the burning question: who controls the holy places? The Temple Mount, the Al-Aqsa Mosque, the Western Wall, the Cave of the Patriarchs in Hebron, the Tomb of Rachel in Bethlehem. These are not merely historic sites. They are symbols of power. Whoever controls them controls the religious narrative. And whoever controls the narrative controls the minds of billions, controls the writing of history, decides who is righteous and who is guilty. The book of Revelation speaks of a mark without which no one will be able to buy or sell. Most Christians know this verse, chapter 13, verse 17, that no one may buy or sell except the one who has the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. But few stop to think about its economic meaning. The mark of the beast is not just a mystical symbol. It is a system of control over trade, over resources, over the global economy. It is a way to force everyone into one system, one power, one ideology. What is happening in the Middle East right now? That region holds the largest reserves of oil and gas in the world. Saudi Arabia, Iran, Iraq, Kuwait, the United Arab Emirates, and Qatar together control more than half of global oil reserves. The most important trade routes between East and West pass through their lands. The Suez Canal, which carries 12% of world trade. The Strait of Hormuz, through which 30% of the world's oil is shipped. The Bab el-Mandeb Strait, connecting the Red Sea to the Indian Ocean. Whoever controls this region controls the global economy. And every alliance made there is, in truth, a battle for resources, for control of energy, for the right to dictate prices and rules. The myth, we are told, is that these wars are fought for freedom and democracy, for human rights, for the fight against tyranny. The scandal that is hidden, in reality, it is a war for the ancient trade routes, for oil pipelines, for seaports, for control of the Suez Canal and the Strait of Hormuz. Whoever holds these choke points decides who will live in abundance and who will starve, who will have energy for their factories and who will sit in darkness, who will feed their people and who will face riots in the streets. The book of Genesis tells the story of Joseph in Egypt. During 7 years of famine, he controlled all the grain. People came to him to buy food. At first they paid with money. When the money was gone, they brought their livestock. When the livestock was gone, they sold their land. And when the land was gone, they sold themselves into slavery in exchange for bread. This is the biblical picture of an economic mark. Whoever controls the resources controls the lives of people. Whoever holds the grain in a famine holds absolute power. People will give up everything for survival, freedom, dignity, ancestral land, even life itself. Now look at what happened in October. Right after the conflict erupted, oil prices skyrocketed. Some nations announced embargoes. Others began rerouting supply lines. Western states scrambled for alternative sources. Eastern states bought cheap oil from sanctioned countries. The entire world became hostage to one local war. Why? Because this war struck at the heart of resources without which modern civilization cannot exist. Without oil, airplanes stop. Without gas, there is no heat in winter. Without fertilizers, crops fail. Without plastics, production halts. Our entire civilization rests upon these resources, but there is a deeper level, a spiritual dimension to this mark. The mark of the beast is not only about economics. It is about identity, about whose you are. The book of Revelation speaks of two kinds of people: those who bear the seal of God on their foreheads, and those who bear the mark of the beast on their right hand or forehead. The forehead symbolizes consciousness, your thoughts, your convictions. The right hand symbolizes actions, your work, your service. The seal of God means you think His thoughts and do His works. The mark of the beast means you think the thoughts of the system and serve its purposes. Modern alliances in the Middle East demand complete loyalty from their members. If you are in the alliance, you must think as the alliance thinks. You must act as the alliance acts. You cannot have your own opinion. You cannot pursue independent policy. You become part of the system, and if you try to step out, the system will crush you. Look at what has happened to countries that tried to remain neutral in this conflict. They were pressured from every side. Either you are with us or against us. There is no third option. There is no gray zone. Did you see what happened to nations that tried to remain neutral? They were forced to choose. They were pressured, threatened with economic sanctions, cut off from financial systems, denied access to technology, isolated on the world stage. Ancient empires did the same. Rome demanded that every conquered people recognize the divinity of the emperor. Once a year, every citizen had to go to the temple and burn a pinch of incense on the altar before the statue of Caesar. It seemed like a small formality, but those who refused were branded enemies of the state. Christians were thrown to lions for this very reason, not because they believed in Christ, but because they refused to recognize another God, because they would not wear the mark of the empire. In the book of Revelation there is another image that terrifies all who read it. The great harlot sitting on a scarlet beast, in her hand a golden cup full of abominations, and on her forehead a name written, Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and of the abominations of the earth. Who is she? What does she symbolize? Why was John so astonished when he saw her? The traditional interpretation is this: she is the seductive world, a system that looks beautiful on the outside but is rotten within. She offers pleasure but leads to death. She promises safety but brings slavery. And the most striking part, she rules the beast. She rides on political power and directs it. The beast has strength, but the woman has cunning. The beast can destroy, but the woman decides who will be destroyed. This is the image of a religious or ideological system using political power for its own ends. Look at modern alliances. Who truly makes the decisions? Officially, governments and presidents. But dig deeper, and you find other forces standing behind them. Financial conglomerates, transnational corporations, oil magnates, religious leaders, secretive clubs most people have never even heard of, the Bilderberg Group, the Council on Foreign Relations, the Trilateral Commission. They are not elected by the people. They are accountable to no one. Yet they decide who will ally with whom, who will be an enemy, who will receive resources, who will be destroyed. Their meetings are closed, their decisions secret, but their consequences are felt across the entire world. The book of Daniel describes a vision of 4 beasts rising from the sea, a lion with eagle's wings, a bear raised on one side, a leopard with 4 birds' wings and 4 heads, and a dreadful beast with iron teeth and 10 horns. These beasts represent empires, Babylon, Persia, Greece, and Rome, but the last beast is different. Daniel says it is unlike all the others. It devours, crushes, and tramples the rest underfoot. It has 10 horns, and among those horns arises another, a little horn, with the eyes of a man and a mouth speaking proud words. This little horn begins to rule over the others. It uproots 3 horns. It changes times and laws. It makes war against the saints of the Most High. It blasphemes the Almighty. It seeks to alter seasons and decrees, and the saints are delivered into its hand for a time, times, and half a time. And most importantly, it does not act alone. Behind it stands another, someone whispering what to do, someone giving it power. The dragon gives the beast his strength, his throne, and great authority. Now the question, can we see this pattern in today's events? We can. There are small nations that suddenly gain disproportionate influence. They are not the largest, not the richest, not the strongest, yet they sit at the center of alliances. Oil pipelines run through their territory. Military bases of great powers are built on their soil. They become crossroads where all interests collide. Take Qatar, for example. A small country, yet it hosts the largest American military base in the region. It is home to the headquarters of Al Jazeera, shaping the views of millions across the Arab world. It is a source of money funding groups throughout the Middle East. And here we return to the image of the woman. She does not fight by herself. She rides the beast and directs it. She uses borrowed strength for her own purpose. She seduces. She promises. She gives the kings of the earth what they crave: money, power, pleasure, legitimacy. And then she demands obedience, complete submission, total loyalty. John writes, "I saw the woman, drunk with the blood of the saints and with the blood of the martyrs of Jesus. She kills those who refuse to bow to her. She persecutes those who will not play by her rules." History is filled with examples of such alliances. Cleopatra and Caesar. She was the last ruler of Egypt. He was the most powerful general of Rome. She seduced him, bore him a son, used his power to protect her throne. Then Caesar was killed. Cleopatra found another protector, Mark Antony. Again she seduced. Again she used. But in the end she lost everything. Rome prevailed. Egypt became a province of the empire. Octavian Augustus marched into Alexandria. Cleopatra took her own life. Seduction did not save her. The alliance proved a trap. The woman thought she ruled the beast, but the beast devoured her. And the same is happening now. Small nations enter alliances with the great, thinking they will be saved. But in truth, they become hostages. They lose independence. They become staging grounds for foreign wars. On their land, military bases rise. Through their soil, weapons flow. Battles erupt across their territories. And when the great war ends, they are discarded like refuse. The powerful sign a new treaty, redraw borders, install new puppet governments, and the interests of the small nations are forgotten. The book of Revelation foretells the woman's end. Chapter 17, verse 16. The 10 horns you saw, and the beast will hate the harlot. They will make her desolate and naked. They will eat her flesh and burn her with fire. Her allies will turn against her. Those who used her will destroy her. Why? Because God has put it in their hearts to carry out his purpose, to act with one mind and give their kingdom to the beast until the words of God are fulfilled. Even evil serves the plan of God. Even unholy alliances lead to the fulfillment of prophecy. If you are watching this video and you realize how deep these truths go, click like and subscribe, because what comes next will be even more intense. We will speak of the numbers and symbols hidden behind today's events. There is an ancient tradition, one that never entered the official canon of the Bible. It tells us that after the fall of the Tower of Babel, the people did not simply scatter across the earth. They carried with them fragments of ancient knowledge of how to build empires, how to rule nations, how to form alliances that appear beneficial to all, but in truth serve one purpose: the restoration of Babylon, a return to the time when the earth had one language and one speech, when all humanity lived in one place under the rule of one king. What is Babylon in the spiritual sense? It is the system that unites all against God. It is humanity's attempt to prove it does not need the Creator, to claim that through technology, through politics, through economics, we can build paradise on earth. Nimrod was the first mighty one on the earth, a great hunter before the Lord, and the beginning of his kingdom was Babylon. He said, "Let us build ourselves a city and a tower that reaches to the heavens, and let us make a name for ourselves." The book of Genesis tells us that the people of Babylon wanted to build a tower to the heavens, not merely a tall building, but a symbol of human greatness. They wanted to show they could reach God by their own power, that they did not need His grace, that they could become gods themselves. But God confused their languages. Suddenly the builder could not understand the architect. The overseer could not understand the worker. The crews spoke in different tongues. They no longer understood one another. The project collapsed. Babylon fell, and the people scattered across the earth. But the spirit of Babylon did not die. It passed from empire to empire: Babylon, Persia, Greece, Rome, the Ottoman Empire, the colonial empires of Europe, the Soviet bloc, the Western Alliance. All tried to build a global system. All forged alliances. All promised peace and prosperity under one rule: Pax Romana, Pax Britannica, Pax Americana. And yet all collapsed, because God scattered them, because their plans opposed His will. Now look at the modern Middle East. Once again there is an effort to build a new system, new alliances, a new unity. Officially it is called regional stability, the fight against terrorism, economic integration, the creation of a common market. But if you look at the map, you will see it is an attempt to revive the ancient empires, to restore the borders of millennia past: the Persian Empire, the Ottoman Empire, the Arab Caliphate. All of these projects are once again on the agenda. Did you know that some of these states openly proclaim imperial ambitions? They declare, "We want to restore the greatness of our empire. We want to reclaim the borders of our ancestors." Turkey speaks of Neo-Ottomanism. Iran of reviving Persian influence from the Mediterranean to the borders of Afghanistan. Saudi Arabia of leading the Sunni world. And to achieve this they form alliances. They buy weapons. They build military bases. They prepare for a great war, a war for the right to be called the New Babylon. The book of Jeremiah foretold the fall of Babylon. Chapters 50 and 51. The prophet said, "It will fall in a single moment. The great city, which seemed invincible, will be destroyed in an instant. Merchants who grew rich trading with Babylon will weep. Kings who trusted in her power will be struck with terror. Beware of Babylon. Flee from her, my people, and save your souls from the fierce anger of the Lord. Do not perish in her sins. For this is the time of the Lord's vengeance." The book of Revelation repeats these words. Chapter 18. It says, in one single hour your judgment has come. Your riches are destroyed. No one buys your goods anymore. Ships stand idle. Merchants weep. Gold and silver, precious stones and pearls, fine linen and purple, silk and scarlet cloth, every vessel of scented wood, every object of ivory, every article of costly wood, bronze, iron, and marble, cinnamon and spices, myrrh and frankincense, wine and oil, fine flour and wheat, cattle and sheep, horses and chariots, and the bodies and souls of men, all of it gone. What could destroy such a system so quickly? Some say it will be a natural disaster, an earthquake, a tsunami, a volcanic eruption. The region is seismically active. The Anatolian fault line runs through Turkey. The Dead Sea lies on a great rift. Volcanoes in the past have wiped out entire civilizations. Others say it will be economic collapse, the crash of currencies, the bankruptcy of corporations, the collapse of the financial order. When the price of oil falls to zero or skyrockets to $1,000 a barrel, economies will crumble overnight. Still others say it will be war, a nuclear strike, weapons of mass destruction, total annihilation of infrastructure. Iran has a nuclear program. Israel has nuclear weapons. Pakistan as well. If even one bomb explodes, it could set off a chain reaction. Radiation would poison the land. Millions would die. Oil fields would burn. Cities would turn to ruins. And this catastrophe would shake the entire world, for the Middle East is the heart of the global economy. But there is yet another possibility. Perhaps it will be a spiritual event, something that changes the consciousness of billions in a single moment, something that forces them to see the truth, to realize that all these alliances were illusions, that all these promises were lies, that Babylon was always empty inside, that behind the golden cup was rot, and when people see it, the system will collapse on its own, without war, without disaster, simply because no one will believe in it anymore. Humanity will refuse to play by its rules. They will walk out of it, and it will fall like a house of cards. The book of Revelation contains one of the most mysterious phrases in all of Scripture. Chapter 17, verses 9 and 10. The angel says to John, "Here is the mind which has wisdom. The 7 heads are 7 mountains on which the woman sits. They are also 7 kings. 5 have fallen, 1 is, the other has not yet come. But when he does come, he must remain for a little while. And the beast that was and is not is also the 8th, and is of the 7, and goes to destruction." Theologians have wrestled with this mystery for centuries. Who are these 7 kings? Are they specific rulers? Are they empires? Are they literal monarchs or spiritual powers? And who is the 8th, the one who is also one of the 7? How can that be? How can someone be both the 8th and at the same time one of the 7? One interpretation is this: the 7 great empires that ruled the Middle East and persecuted the people of God: Egypt, Assyria, Babylon, Persia, Greece, Rome, and the final empire yet to come. In John's day, 5 had already fallen: Egypt, Assyria, Babylon, Persia, Greece. 1 was Rome, ruling at that very moment. 1 was still to come, many believe, the Ottoman Empire, or another power. And the 8th? A revival of one of the previous empires. Perhaps the Roman Empire reborn as the European Union. Perhaps Babylon revived. Perhaps Persia reborn in the form of modern Iran. But there is another interpretation. Maybe these are not empires at all, but specific rulers of the last days. 7 leaders who rise together against God. 5 have already come and gone. 1 rules now. Another will come, but only for a short while. And the 8th is the same as one of the 7 returning again. The Antichrist. The one who suffers a mortal wound but is healed. The one who was, and is not, and yet shall be. And the world will marvel. Now look at the modern Middle East. How many rulers have fallen in the last 20 years? How many were toppled during the Arab Spring? Egypt's President Mubarak ruled for 30 years, yet fell in only 18 days. Tunisia's Ben Ali ruled for 23 years and fled in a month. Libya's Gaddafi ruled for 42 years and was killed in the street. Yemen's Saleh ruled for 33 years and was forced to step down. 5 have fallen. 1 is now, 1 is to come, and 1 may yet return. Some scholars point out a strange detail. All of these fallen leaders were secular dictators. They suppressed religious fundamentalism. They kept Islamists under control. But when they fell, religious movements rose in their place. The Muslim Brotherhood in Egypt, Islamists in Libya, jihadists in Syria, the Houthis in Yemen. Secular power collapsed. Religious power rose. And today the region is torn between the secular and the religious, between those who push for modernization and those who demand a return to the caliphate. And now comes the most striking part. The book of Revelation says the 10 horns you saw are 10 kings who have not yet received a kingdom, but for 1 hour they will receive authority as kings together with the beast. They have one mind, and they give their power and authority to the beast. 10 kings rising at the last moment, ruling only for a very short time, uniting around one figure, handing over all their power to him. Is this not what we are seeing today? New leaders in the Middle East increasingly speak of unity, of building a common front, of joining forces against a shared enemy. They form alliances that would have been unthinkable only 10 years ago. Arabs with Turks, Persians with Arabs, Sunnis with Shiites. All the old conflicts pushed aside for the sake of a greater goal, the creation of a united Islamic bloc, the restoration of the caliphate, preparation for the final war. The book of Daniel describes a similar vision. Chapter 7. 4 beasts. The last beast with 10 horns. Then another appears, a little horn, that uproots 3 of them, leaving 7 plus 1, 8, the same 8th who is of the 7. He speaks with arrogance. He changes times and laws. He makes war against the saints, and authority is given to him for a time, times, and half a time. That is 3.5 years, 42 months, 1,260 days. His rule is limited, but in that time he will bring great destruction. And now, in the Middle East, the struggle is underway. Who will be that unifier? Who will gather all under one banner? Turkey lays claim through its Ottoman heritage. Iran through its influence on Shiite movements. Saudi Arabia through its control of Islam's holiest sites. Egypt through its historic role as leader of the Arab world. All of them build alliances. All of them prepare. All of them wait for the moment when they can declare, "I am the one you must follow." A single word that strikes fear into every heart: Armageddon. The final battle. The last war. The conflict after which there will be no more wars. The book of Revelation, chapter 16, verse 16. And he gathered them together into a place called in the Hebrew tongue Armageddon. This is the only time the word appears in the Bible, yet it has become the symbol of the end of the world, the image of the ultimate clash between good and evil. What is Armageddon? It is a place in Israel, the valley of Megiddo. In Hebrew, Har Megiddo, the Mount of Megiddo. It lies in the northwestern part of Israel, near the modern city of Haifa. It is an ancient battlefield. Through this valley once passed the most important trade route of the ancient world. Whoever controlled Megiddo controlled commerce between Egypt and Mesopotamia, between Africa and Asia. That is why wars were fought here for thousands of years. Pharaoh Thutmose III fought here against the Canaanite coalition. Pharaoh Necho struck down King Josiah here. The judge Deborah and the commander Barak won their victory here over the army of Sisera. King Ahab built his fortresses here. Napoleon Bonaparte once said that this valley could hold all the armies of the world in a single great battle. And prophecy declares, this is the place where the final battle will happen. Here the kings of the earth will gather. Here they will stand against God. But why here? Why did God choose this place? Some say because it is symbolic, the place where the fate of nations has been decided again and again. Others say because it is strategic. Whoever controls Megiddo controls the land of Israel. Still others say because it is tied to the coming of the Messiah. From here his reign will begin. Here he will defeat his enemies. The book of Revelation describes what happens before Armageddon. Chapter 16. 3 unclean spirits, like frogs, come out of the mouths of the dragon, the beast, and the false prophet. These are demonic spirits performing signs. They go out to the kings of the whole world to gather them for war. For what war? The war of the great day of God Almighty. The war against the Lamb, and against those who stand with him. But the Lamb will overcome them, for he is Lord of lords and King of kings. Look at the Middle East today. Armies are gathering. Military bases are rising across the region. American bases in Qatar, Kuwait, Bahrain, Iraq, Syria. Russian bases in Syria. Iranian forces in Syria, Lebanon, Iraq, Yemen. Turkish troops in Syria, Iraq, and Libya. All the great powers of the world are here, all preparing for something vast, for some final battle, for something that will decide the future of the earth. The prophet Zechariah describes the same scene. Chapter 14. All nations gather for war against Jerusalem. The city will be taken, houses looted, women violated, half the city led into captivity. But the rest of the people will not be cut off. Then the Lord himself will go out and fight against those nations, as he fought in the day of battle. And his feet will stand on the Mount of Olives, east of Jerusalem. And the Mount of Olives will split in two, forming a great valley, half moving north and half moving south. This is a description of a literal geological upheaval, an earthquake so powerful that the mountain splits apart. When will it happen? When the Messiah returns? When he comes to save his people? When all the armies of the world surround Jerusalem? When it seems that everything is lost? It is then that he will appear, and his coming will change everything. Revelation chapter 19 paints the vision. Heaven opens. A rider on a white horse appears. His name is Faithful and True. He judges and makes war and righteousness. His eyes are like flames of fire. On his head are many crowns. He is clothed in a robe dipped in blood. His name is the Word of God, and the armies of heaven follow him on white horses. Are we ready for this? Do we understand that every alliance, every pact, every political game in the Middle East is only preparation for the end? That history is racing toward a single point? Toward one battle? Toward one moment when every person on earth will have to choose a side. Neutrality will not be possible. You cannot sit on the fence. You will have to decide, are you with the system or with God? With the beast or with the Lamb? With Babylon or with the New Jerusalem? Tell me in the comments, do you feel that time itself is accelerating? That events are unfolding faster than ever before? That we are living in a unique moment of history? I want to know what you think. There are things I cannot say aloud, secrets too dangerous for open broadcast, connections between events that I see but cannot name directly. Because if I were to reveal everything, this video would be taken down. This channel would be silenced. But those who have ears will hear. Those who have eyes will see. Those who have understanding will know. The book of Daniel closes with mysterious words. Chapter 12, verse 9. Go your way, Daniel, for the words are closed up and sealed until the time of the end. Many shall be purified, made white, and refined, but the wicked will continue in their wickedness. None of the wicked will understand, but the wise will understand. Prophecies were sealed. No one could truly grasp them until the appointed time. But now the seals are being broken. Now we can see what previous generations could not. Now events are unfolding before our eyes, and we can compare them with the ancient texts. What do I see? I see alliances forming in the Middle East that mirror biblical prophecy. I see the nations Ezekiel wrote about uniting exactly as he foresaw. I see the global economy growing more centralized, just as Revelation foretold. I see technology enabling control over every purchase, every sale, every transaction. Exactly as was written 2,000 years ago. No one will be able to buy or sell without the mark. October of last year was no coincidence. It was a trigger, the spark that set off a chain reaction. The events of that month shifted the balance of power in the region. They forced nations to reconsider their alliances. They revealed who truly stands with whom. They exposed the hidden motives of leaders. And now we are watching a new order take shape. A new alignment, a new system of alliances that strangely echoes the visions of the prophets. There are specific names, specific organizations, specific agreements signed behind closed doors, specific plans never mentioned in the headlines. But if you know where to look, you will find them. If you can read between the lines of official statements, you will see what is really happening. If you overlay the map of modern military bases with the map of ancient empires, you will see the pattern. The book of Revelation speaks of the number of the beast. 666. The number of a man. For centuries people tried to solve this mystery. Some said it was Nero, others said Domitian, still others said the Pope. Later some said Hitler or Stalin. But perhaps it is not a single person. Perhaps it is a system built on human wisdom instead of divine revelation, a system that puts man in the place of God. 6 is the number of imperfection. 7 is the number of completeness. God created the world in 6 days and rested on the seventh. Humanity was created on the 6th day. 6 represents man without God. 6 is the attempt to reach perfection by human strength alone. And 3/6 is the fullness of that attempt. An economy without God, a politics without God, a religion without God, a system that looks perfect, yet always lacks something. It lacks the seventh, the presence of the divine dot. And now we see such a system being built. A global economy where everything is controlled by a handful of corporations. A global politics where decisions are made not by the people, but by elites. A global religion that seeks to merge all faiths into one, where Christ is reduced to merely one teacher among many. This is the number of the beast. This is the system of 666. Humanity trying to build paradise without God. And the Middle East is the testing ground for this system, the laboratory of the New World Order. Here they test new methods of control. Here they experiment to see whether people of different faiths can be forced to live under one rule. Here they trial new alliances, and the results of these experiments are then applied to the rest of the world. Can I name the individuals? No. Can I show the documents? No, because I would be stopped. But I can give you a direction for your own search. Do not just read the news, study the analysis. Do not just listen to what politicians say, watch what they do. Do not focus only on great events, look at the small details that seem insignificant. For in the details the truth is hidden. The prophet Daniel said, "Those who have understanding will instruct many, but they will fall by sword and flame, by captivity and plunder for a time. When they fall, they will receive little help, but many will join them insincerely. And some of the wise will fall to refine them, to purify them, and to make them white until the time of the end, because the appointed time has not yet come." This means those who speak the truth will face persecution. Those who reveal the secrets of the system will be targeted. But this is necessary. It is part of the refining, the separation of wheat from chaff, the proving of who is truly with God and who is merely playing religion. The time of testing is coming, a time when every mask will fall and every person will show their true face. If you are still with me now, if you have listened to the end, then you are one of those who seek truth. You are not satisfied with official narratives. You do not trust the system blindly. You want to understand what is really happening. And that is good. That is right. Christ said, "You shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free." Not lies, not illusions, not comfortable stories. Truth, even when it is hard, even when it terrifies. The truth is this: we live in a special time, a time when ancient prophecies are being fulfilled, when events written thousands of years ago are happening before our eyes, when the alliances foretold in Scripture are being formed in real time, and we have a choice. We can close our eyes and pretend nothing is happening, or we can wake up and prepare for what is to come. We have walked a long road together, from forbidden maps to the seals of Babylon, from the kings of the north and south to the woman on the beast, from economic control to spiritual war. And now we stand at the threshold, on the line between the old world and the new, between a dying system and a rising one, between Babylon and the New Jerusalem. The book of Revelation ends with two cities, Great Babylon, which falls, and the New Jerusalem descending from heaven. Two cities, two systems, two ways of life, and every person must choose where they will live. Babylon offers wealth, power, and pleasure. But the price is submission, compromise of conscience, the mark on the forehead or the hand. The New Jerusalem offers freedom, truth, eternal life. But the price is rejection of the system, persecution, the willingness to suffer for faith. The alliances in the Middle East that we have spoken of are not mere politics. They are part of the spiritual battle playing out in the physical world, a struggle for human souls, for whom they will serve, for whose mark they will bear. And October was only the beginning, a warning, the first rumble of thunder before the storm. The real events still lie ahead. What can you do? First, do not trust in political alliances. No nation will save you. No treaty can give true security. Only God can protect in the time of trial. Second, study the prophecies. Read the Scriptures. Compare them with what is happening in the world. Learn to discern the signs of the times. Third, prepare spiritually. Strengthen your faith. Pray, fast, purify your heart. For the day will come when faith is your only shield. Fourth, Do not accept the mark of the system. Do not compromise for convenience. Do not sell your soul for temporary safety or material gain. Fifth, stand together with other believers. Seek community. Support one another. Alone it is easy to fall, but together you can endure. Sixth, be ready for persecution. The system hates those who will not submit. It will pressure. It will threaten. It will try to break you. But if you endure, you will receive the crown of life. The book of Revelation gives a promise. Chapter 21. He who overcomes shall inherit all things, and I will be his God, and he shall be my son. The overcomer is not the strongest, not the richest, not the wisest. The overcomer is the one who remains faithful to the end, the one who does not deny Christ even under threat of death, the one who does not take the mark of the beast even if it means being unable to buy or sell, the one who refuses to worship the system even when all others bow down. Events in the Middle East are unfolding quickly. Alliances shift. Wars erupt and fade. Leaders rise and fall. But behind it all stands the eternal conflict. God versus Satan. Truth versus lies. Light versus darkness. And this conflict is racing toward its conclusion, toward the final battle, toward the moment when every soul must choose a side. Are you ready? Do you know whose side you are on? You understand that the stakes are higher than life and death? That this is about eternity? About where you will spend not years, but millions of years? In the presence of God, or in the presence of the beast? In the New Jerusalem, or in the lake of fire? I cannot choose for you. No one can. It is your decision, your responsibility, your destiny. But I can show you the facts. I can open your eyes to what is unfolding. I can help you see the connection between ancient prophecy and today's events. Beyond that, the choice is yours. Leave a comment. Tell me what you see. Do you notice the same parallels I do? Do you feel that time itself is accelerating? Are you ready for what is to come? I need to hear your thoughts, because we are in this together. We are all part of this story, and our choice will shape not only our own future, but the future of humanity itself. Remember this, God is in control. Even when it looks like evil is winning, even when unholy alliances are made, even when the system grows stronger, God still reigns. He knows the end from the beginning. The victory is already won. On the cross, Christ declared, "It is finished." The battle has already been decided. We are only walking out our part in His plan, and if we remain faithful, we will see His triumph. We will witness the fall of Babylon. We will behold the coming of the New Jerusalem. We will see every prophecy fulfilled, letter by letter. So do not fear. Do not lose hope. Do not compromise. Stand firm. Stay faithful. And soon you will see the one who comes riding on a white horse, the one whose name is faithful and true, the one who judges and makes war in righteousness, the King of kings and Lord of lords, the one who makes all things new. Amen. And one last note. Please forgive any imperfections in pronunciation or tone. This narration is delivered by artificial intelligence. If you noticed errors or if you have suggestions to make future videos better, leave a comment. Your feedback helps improve the work. Thank you for staying with me to the end. May God bless you and keep you in these difficult times.